is a fish out of water comedy similar to those throwback classic mob comedies like Married to the Mob. But is this a streaming movie or is it worth seeing in the theaters? Here's my spoiler-free review of Mafia Mama. So Toni Collette plays an empty nester who's in a troubled marriage. Her husband is cheating. She's a marketing exec that's in the twilight of her career. She wants something exciting and needs a change, needs at first to get away from her husband who takes advantage of her. And so she gets this call from Monica Bellucci, who is a consigliere for her grandfather who was just murdered in Italy. Toni Collette's character hadn't seen her grandfather since she was a little kid. She was born and somewhat reared in Italy, but moved as a child, moved to the United States, where she remained until she goes back to her grandfather's funeral. Turns out he leaves the empire to her. Before she goes, though, we get to know her a little bit, and she is just such a pushover, which is somewhat of a contradiction. I don't understand why they made her such a pushover when she is this marketing exec. I don't know. I don't think making her so bumbling and unaware of her surroundings and such a pushover was a good idea with the character, because it came off as slapstick. Mafia Mama at best is a streaming movie. Now, this film was released over the weekend and it made a disastrous $2 million at the box office in 2,000 theaters. That does not bode well for a film that is appealing to women of a particular age, to get us back into the theater for, to just lay back, relax, and just have a good time. I think it failed in numerous ways. It definitely failed with the screenwriting. The script was very weak. And I think it was weak because the character was written as a caricature. And I think the direction wasn't good because there are a lot of scenes where it just wasn't captured well. It seemed like some of the shots, the DP might have been fumbling with the camera, because especially in that there's a scene during the funeral, which is otherwise a good scene, an interesting scene, but the camera gets very, very shaky, and it wasn't even a steady cam, it wasn't a handy cam. It gets very shaky, and when you see it, you'll know what I mean when you see the oranges. It just wasn't shot well. And a lot of it, the setting is in Italy. I don't know if they didn't have in the budget to show some of the key prominent areas, those landmarks in Italy that you would expect to see, especially on somewhat of a road trip or a traveling movie, a movie set in such a beautiful place like Italy. We don't get to see a lot of those places. Again, it might have been budget, it might have been approvals that weren't, that they didn't get, but I don't know. It just wasn't shot well. I think Toni Collette's character could have been strong and still, because she's written like a weak character who doesn't know where she is, she's so unassuming. She's supposed to be this marketing exec that climbed the corporate ladder, but she is losing her grip at work. They don't believe in her ideas and they're walking all over her. And I think playing her as a pushover doesn't work. I would have preferred to see her be stronger, first of all, be an empty nester, going through a divorce, but maybe learning TikTok, first to be closer to her son who's away to college, but then she gets to enjoy it, gets to going viral on TikTok because of how beautiful Italy is, as she's going over here first for her grandfather's funeral, but then to inherit this winery and becomes this wine sommelier who fixes his bad wine, because this wine company, this winery rather, is a front for the mob, and or the mafia rather, and she ends up filming things she's not supposed to film and becomes like this viral sensation. Something that is a little more current. Films like this have worked. Classics like Married to the Mob with Michelle Pfeiffer, I think, worked, but that was a different time. So much is available now to make this, or that could have made this, a lot funnier, but I think the character was just written poorly, just in my opinion. And I love Toni Collette. I've seen everything she's been in. She's one of my faves. And she and Monica Bellucci do the best to keep this together, but it just falls apart, a lot of it. Mafia Mama is in theaters now. Now, this is a streaming movie. You may want to wait a couple of weeks. I'm sure it'll be just a matter of a couple of weeks before it is released digitally, because I don't know if you want to rush out to the movies to make a night of it to see this in theaters. This should have been a streaming movie from the get-go. At any rate, Mafia Mama is in theaters now.